It is Monday, the 30th of January, and this is Love Notes, daily devotions from Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. Welcome. Matthew tells us today that Jesus turns his attention to instructing the disciples, these 12 apostles that are being sent out. Matthew says these 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions. Now, before we go any further, I think it's important to note that whenever we read about the 12, or the apostles or the disciples in the Gospels, we should listen attentively because really that's us. We as the church have become the disciples and apostles of Jesus Christ in the world, and so these instructions are for you and me. Jesus tells them, "Go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." It may at first sound a little exclusive, these instructions. Don't go to any of the outsiders, we might interpret it as saying. But there's a plan and a process in place here. By sending the apostles to speak first to the people of Abraham, God is in the business of fulfilling the promises to Abraham. We should never think, as some in Christian history have, that in the advent of Jesus Christ, in his coming and incarnation, all the Old Testament and the Jewish people have been discarded by God. That's completely false. It's completely untrue. No, this is a timing issue. To fulfill the promises of Abraham that there would be children more numerous than the stars, and to fulfill the promise to Abraham that the nations would all come. Well, that needs to start with the Jews, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So this is a process here. It's unfolding before us. The unity and the peace of the world will be established when first the lost children of Israel hear the message, and then as it proceeds and processes, there will be unity and peace between Gentile and Jew, between those of Israel and those of all the other nations. As you go, proclaim the good news, Jesus says. What is that? Well, he says here, it's the kingdom of heaven has come near. God's intention for all of creation has come near. The promises that have been made since the beginning of creation have come near. And then he tells them, cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. That's a tall order. And if Jesus is actually talking to us still today, we might wonder for a minute, how the heck am I supposed to do that? If you're not Jesus, how do you do what Jesus did? Well, the first thing to realize is that we don't do anything in our own power. When we do things in the name of Jesus, it is Jesus' power that will come to bear. If the sick are to be raised and healed, if the dead are to be raised, if the lepers are to be cleansed, it will be the power of Jesus and not us that bears it. We only bring the words and announce the name. It refutes the idea that the church is supposed to be about simply spiritual things, to stay out of social issues, to stay out of the way of the public life or politics as it is, because Jesus sends them out to do things in the world, curing the sick, raising the dead, cleansing the lepers, casting out the demons. Well, all of that is in the public arena. The church is sent there to do the work of Jesus. After all, Jesus got in all kinds of trouble in public, in the political arena, for doing the things that he did. We are called to do what Jesus does. It also doesn't restrict us to doing the things of Jesus within the miraculous ways that he did it. To cure the sick, well, that's been a long-standing tradition in Christian circles. As I think I've said before, It should be noted that here in central Iowa, in the city of Des Moines, the three major hospitals that were founded and continue to exist were Lutheran, Catholic, and Methodist. That's who lived here. And they cured the sick in the name of Jesus. They may not be able to raise the physically dead, but there are certainly lots of people around us who live as if dead, and they can hear the freedom of the gospel and rise them up. Cleansing the lepers has less to do than the physical condition than it does in acceptance, to consider them not unclean anymore, but restored to their community, and we can do that. So maybe we don't do it like Jesus did, but we do it in His name and with His power. Jesus instructs them to take no gold or silver or copper in their belts, no bag for your journey, or 2 tunics or sandals or staff. In other words, don't take anything with you. Laborers deserve their food, Jesus tells them, and so they will depend upon the hospitality of those that they encounter. That's a scary and vulnerable thing. They are to go in humility, not of their own power, and they are to be vulnerable, trusting that God will provide through those that they meet. Now, when it comes down to people who don't give them hospitality, Jesus doesn't tell them to spend a lot of time with that. Jesus says, if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. In other words, don't get worked up about it. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet and leave that town. Truly, I tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. Now, we can read that as if we should shake our fist and make a big deal about it, but what this really tells us is to leave that to God. We are to use no coercion. We are not to threaten. We are to use grace and mercy, and when we're rejected, to leave in humility and peace. God will be the grace for the world, and God will provide the judgment for the world. That's not part of the job description of these disciples or of us. Let us pray. Holy God, you have made us your disciples and apostles to go into the world and do what you do, and by whatever means we can figure out to do that. We have been called to announce your power and let your power loose in the world so that people may in fact be healed, be given light in the darkness. We ask, Lord, that you would empower us, make us strong, and help us to live humbly and vulnerably in this world, knowing that everything comes from you. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.